Hello, welcome back everyone. So I'm trying to catch up with all the decks that I've been working with recently. Some new decks that I haven't seen before. But this deck in particular, the Asherah Tarot by Sarah Wheatley, is a very unique deck for me because Miss Sarah Wheatley incorporates the Qabalah, the Tree of Life. And this deck I came across, like I always do, on YouTube, just perusing, and I actually saw this deck probably about a year ago, and I didn't think much of it. I wasn't feeling so Thoth inspired as I have been this year when it comes to looking for various influences like that in the tarot. So within the last few months, I've been connecting more with decks that incorporate the Thoth influence, the Tree of Life, the Qabalah, and so we're looking at the Gill Tarot primarily, the deck that I've been working with for quite some time this year. But also I was looking for a companion deck because I was working the Gill Tarot and the Barbara Walker. I know there are two different entities, but for some reason I was really feeling a good connection between those two decks. They both have very strong energies, and I felt that the two of them do work together. But as time went on, that Gill Tarot deck is the deck that really holds that influence for the Tree of Life and following all the Sephiras. So I came across over the summer this deck on YouTube, and I was looking at a walkthrough of it, and I like this twist that this deck has in regards for the imagery, and also the way that the images are depicted. So you will see as I go through this deck the different influences. We don't see any exact imagery from the Thoth, but we do see that those influences through the Arcana. What's interesting here is this is a 3rd edition. The first deck I believe that Sarah came out with is 2017. This edition that I have is the 2021. Let me bring out the deck here, or the box. This is the box here, like cigarette pack size. I don't endorse cigarettes, but this is more or less what it reminds me of. So this is the 2021 3rd edition, and she had 2 other editions. The first one was 2017, and I believe it was the standard size tarot deck. But this year I've been sort of downsizing, literally, the decks that I'm working with size-wise. I've been working more with decks that are smaller, and I'm feeling that the reason why I'm being drawn to these smaller size decks is because I'm looking to do larger spreads, larger readings. I'm feeling a lot of information coming to me from these particular smaller decks that the images can fold out to a story. And so I like the way that that's broken up in such a way that I can go more than doing a 3-card, 5-card, or even a 10-card reading. So with these smaller size decks, like the Wild Unknown, Barbara Walker, the Gill Tarot, trying to see what other smaller decks I have. Primarily those. I feel that I can start growing and weaving more of an in-depth reading and interpretation when working with these decks. So let's just go right into it. You've already saw the box. Oh, before I forget, she does have the tarot size, the standard size of this. This is again the poker size, the smaller size, and the size of this measures 2.5 by 3.5, and the regular tarot size or standard size version is 2.25, which is 2.75 by 4.75, so 2.25 by 4.25. She does have plans to create a larger version of this deck, which will be amazing to see once you see these images, larger than the tarot size. And even though I just said that I want to stick to working with smaller decks for this time, I am inclined to maybe get a larger version of this deck. She's just trying to find a printer that can accommodate the size and maintain the same image quality that was printed for the tarot size and the poker size deck. I'm going to put a link so you can read more about Sarah Wheatley and where you can order these decks. It's through Drive Thru Cards. Unfortunately, they can't print the large size that she wants, so the larger size that we can get right now is just that tarot size. So so we have the standard size and this poker smaller size, which I really like. I call it pint size because it's a little big, but not too small. It's right in between a mini deck and a standard size tarot deck. Okay, so here are the key cards. There's no booklet. I was reading somewhere that she may consider printing out a guidebook, which would be great. But for now, she offers us just cards for us to reflect on the meanings of the princess. They're on the back, the prince for each of the suits. Sorry for the glare there. We have Prince of Wands, Cups, Swords, Discs. She makes relation to the astrological influence. As you can see there, Leo, air of fire, Scorpio, air of water, so on and so forth. And just a general interpretation of the princess in relation to the tree of life. And the same goes here for the princess, Malkuth, which for earth. And then we go through all the suits. Then we have the knights. My lighting is falling. Bear with me here. We're going to see the shadow of the light source here. Okay, so we have the knights, mutable. She gives a breakdown of their character, their energy. And then we have the queens. And the same thing, makes reference to the planetary influence, the elemental influence, feminine energy. Okay. One thing, just to clarify, the princes are seen as the king. Okay, and the princes are considered to be the pages, the knights are the knights, and the queens are the queens. So the prince is seen as the king, just so there's some understanding between those two. So right off the bat, what drew me to this deck is that it does bring astrology and some planetary influences into these cards here, which is great. Next, we have the minor arcana. Okay, so again, we have these key cards here for the 9s, 10s, the relationship on the tree of life. There you go. 9s for foundation, 10 for kingdom. And then here in the back, we have the Sephiroth. Sevens, the meanings of the sevens, in relation to their suits, eights, so on and so forth. Fives, this is probably better right there so you can see. 5 for severity, Qabalah, Tifereth. I know I'm mispronouncing these words here, so my apologies. 6s, beauty. 3s for understanding, Benaiah, Hesed, mercy for 4. And then we have the aces. And then Hokmah, wisdom for 2s. Kether, crown, aces. So again, my apologies if I am, and I'm certain I am, mispronouncing the Hebrew names here for the Tree of Life. Then we have the Major Arcana. What number corresponds to each of the Major Arcana on the Tree of Life, the path that it takes, the name. Got the Hierophant. Lust is here instead of strength, so follow still in the same direction of the Major Arcana for the Thoth system. Hermit, art, temperance, death, judgment, and universe. So very simple key cards to get you started with this deck. Because this is its own system, I would recommend this deck for someone who has already become familiar with the tarot. That they feel comfortable working with the prince, princess, knight, queens, but in this context of the influence of the Thoth system. And then here we have the Qabalah. Just breaking it down to the 10 limbs. As you could see. And then on the back we see the number corresponding and the direction and the colors that are associated. Sarah did a wonderful job in breaking down the Qabalah and keeping it very simple and putting in keywords, descriptions of each of the directions, the limbs, and how they connect within the Tree of Life. So those are the guide cards. So we have 2, the front and back, 2 for the court cards, 3 cards for the Minor Arcana. Minor Arcana are trimmed in red or laced in red. Court cards are black. So is the Qabalah court card or guide cards, and we have 3 cards for the Major Arcana, also in black. Yeah, I just want to look back at this again. I think this is wonderful to maintain the color schemes and understanding the direction. We even have cards in between, 11, 12. It's going to be kind of hard to see here, but in better lighting you can see the rest of the major, the rest of the major arcana connected in between the Tree of Life. Alrighty, so I'm going to put this aside. Now this deck, as I mentioned, along with the Gill Tarot, will be the two decks that I will be connecting with as I slowly begin exploring the Tree of Life and the Qabalah system. I will see how long, and I will be able to go in depth with this, because it is very intensive. All the information you could spend. You could spend countless hours going through each of these paths, breaking it down, dissecting it. So for me, you know, I have a book that I am entrusting as guidance, as well as the cards here and the Gill Tarot, to get me started on this journey. So here is our title card. And it's just a welcome card on the back saying thank you for purchasing this deck, 2021 3rd edition. Now when I first saw the images, I thought they were kind of a little bit on the light, playful side. So I wasn't certain how I would approach this deck when it came to my practice. But you know what? As I viewed these cards and I looked at them, I threw that aside. We have to understand, and I speak to myself when I say this, when we see cards and we see images that just kind of put us off, but there is still something drawing us to that deck. That's a sign that there is something that we need to explore within ourselves through this deck. And as I've gone through the major arcana, minor arcana, just looking at the images, haven't started studying yet with this deck, I noticed that this goes really more into the psyche of how we look at a deck that has Thoth influences into it. Here we have the Fool. So we're saying, we're seeing a different interpretation of the Fool. There we go. I'm just going to angle it down. And then we have our symbol, and we have the Hebrew letter associated with the Fool. I also want to show you the back. So it has Sarah's initials on it, and it's also reversible, so you could do reversible readings with this. So I've set this up where you will be viewing these cards backwards. So I normally start with the Fool. I'm changing the order of how I cleanse my deck, and cleansing my deck is basically how I put them in order. So I'm actually doing this backwards. I always end and start after the Universe card or the World card. I always have the Fool. Actually, let me just do this, because the more I move this, the more glare we're getting. So this is a linen stock, so not, you know, like a semi-gloss finish. I like this here very much. We have the 4 fixed signs, and we have the individual holding almost the stance of the emperor. Instead of sitting, this person's standing up. And just to point out, even though I see gender here, I can read this as feminine. I make reference to a card that shows or identifies with a particular sex. I just relate it to individual, so that whoever is watching this can determine if that image is of masculine energy, feminine energy, or of both. Okay, I got Judgment here. I like here how we have the symbology. We have here Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, and Saturn. And then up here we have Uranus. Very, very interesting. There's a lot of eyes that pop up throughout the deck. This beaming, human-like sun card. A symbol for the sun, and again the Hebrew letter. The moon. Let's see here, how can I show you this? Star card. Symbol here for Aquarius. So those of you who know me know that I work with astrology and with my readings, so this is an added perk for me. And I like this, how we have the different levels, transformation, like Phoenix rising here. I'm moving closer there. I'm doing this late in the evening, so I have no daylight coming in, so this is the best I can do right now for showing this. Got the Devil card. Let me move this here so you can see. There are these eyes showing up on the bat wings. Art or Temperance. The Phoenix. And the Snake. All intertwining energy. Associate with Sagittarius. This Death card has a lot happening here. I love this. Scorpio. And also, throughout some of the cards, we see the insignia of Sarah. We see the S and then the W here. If you look closely throughout some of the cards, you'll see it kind of blending in the background. Hanging. Not hanging man, not hanging woman, not hanging person, just hanging. Justice. lots of detail. So just imagine this at a tarot size, but even up to a larger size deck. Don't know what size she's considering to go up from the tarot, but this would be wonderful to see in the larger context. The Hermit, very simple. The cosmic energy above, while still staying connected here in the earthly realm, and then the path here in the distance, and the light source, connecting to the butterfly for transformation. Lust. Our Chariot. Cancer. Very Neptunian sea environment, and there's the S and W right there. Lovers. We start seeing again repetition of some of these reappearing insects, butterfly. Hierophant. There's the S and W again. I think that's a creative way, very similar to Pamela Cole Smith, with her initials popping up in some of the Rider-Waite-Smith decks, but very subtly, you have to look for it. Then we have here Emperor. The Burning Heart, associated with Aries. Empress. And look at these colors. I think that was the draw for me. Part of the attraction of this deck is when you see the original Thoth deck, there are colors there, but the colors are very they're very abstract in the way that they're being used in their scenes. Here, this is there's a lot more excitement put into each of these cards when it comes to its color palette. It's a beautiful purpley blue, violet, representing our inner spirituality. And then you can see a little bit of the linen texture in the cards. And Magus. And we see the energy moving up. Its environment that it's in. Eyes on the hand. Eyes up above. Symbol for Mercury. It's a wonderful deck. Okay, so then back to the Fool here. Okay, so as I mentioned, as I mentioned, I like to, with this particular system that I'm working with, I will be studying from the court cards going back. I'll do the major arcana and then work through the rest of the system backwards. So these are all the princesses through through their elements. Princess of Cups, very childlike. And I also forgot to mention that there is use of the I Ching, and we're seeing it here in the court cards. And Princess of Wands. I believe Sarah made reference that this is actually an image of her cat who had passed away, I think just before or while she was creating the deck. So she brought her animal companion into the deck, which I feel is very, very touching. We have our Prince of Discs. And look at the bull on the bottom. So, very creative way. Of using the Thoth inspiration into this deck. Prince of Cups, or King of Cups. And then again we have the I Ching Symbology. Eyes that we keep seeing here throughout the deck is a reflection of ourselves, but in different dimensions. Look carefully here. We have the Prince of Wands, which is the equivalent to the King of Wands. We have the dragon or the tiger. We have the mouth. Person's inside. You see the eyes here. There's a lot of shape-shifting going on in this card. There's a lot of movement. So here we are with the Knights. Swords. So this is going to be interesting. I like here the Knight of Cups. We have the crab that's on the back of the rider here. Though I wouldn't place the crab for this particular sign. I would associate it more with Pisces. But, you know, it's only tarot. Our Knight of Wands. Salamander. Actually, let me see something here. No, they're all different. Queen of Discs. Also taking a variation of the four of the Emperor. The Emperor's legs being crossed, but here we have her seated and showing her strength and confidence in the realm of earth. Another variation of the crossed legs. Here we have the Queen of Swords, but look here. There's a little bit of a bloody remembrance of how we can use our thoughts in a more harmful manner, perhaps. And here we have, I'm not going to say two heads there, but we have two faces here on her throne. Queen of Cups. Oh, this is beautiful. Queen of Wands is my court card. that I enjoy and connect with very much. So I've seen some beautiful renditions of the Queen of Wands, and this is definitely not an exception. Okay, so let's see here. I put this in an order. Okay, so this is going to be our tens. Ah, like this. See here, the Tree of Life. Let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8. Ah, I like this. The order starts reversing itself. We have the planetary symbols. You can see here. Planetary symbols in their upright position, and then down here we have them in their reversed. So Neptune, Saturn, Mars, they're all facing downward. They're all facing in a opposite direction. Here we have the darker side. It's more like a bat, or is a bat. And then here we have the lighter side, the higher conscious side. And I believe we have reference to the decans here. The Sun in Gemini. Mars in Pisces. Sharks. Saturn in Sagittarius. Ten of Wands. Minaret. Mercury in Virgo, where both signs, the sun and planet, are exalted. Mars in Gemini. So we start seeing the energy of how the planet is influenced in its sign. So we're seeing a lot of strife. Here we see the butterfly's wings. Everything's just sort of being segmented out into different areas. Nine of Cups. Kind of reminds me of candy canes, since we're going into the holiday season as I'm recording this. Beautiful Eight of Discs. I think I'm going to be silent here and just let these images sort of resonate with those who are watching. Saturn in Pisces, octopus. Sorry for the heater, the vents right behind me here. There's 7 of discs. And 7 of Swords. It's cards are small. There's not really an easy way to hold these up so you can see every detail. I do my best so I don't cover up an area. The face that we have here in the center, the Seven of Cups. Choices, directions, illusions. It's Mercury and Scorpio. Okay, again, these are all in the order numerically. Moon and Taurus. So moon symbol. Beautiful coloring, and we have the Rosicrucian cross in the center. Okay, that says Six of Swords. The lighting may hide some of the wording. Six fishes here, forming in the middle to create a pinwheel. I'm going to enjoy working with this deck. Yeah, that's going on. Okay, that's 5 of discs. There we go. Let's try this again. The skulls in the center. Pentagram is facing downward. Ah, very nice. See a lot of movement here with those swords, how they intersect in the middle to form a pentacle, but the pentacle's going down but upright in the center here. Let's see right there. So imagine tying in the planets and the signs with this stack. I like the different holding of the cups here, and combining it with the Qabalah, combining it with the Tree of Life and the path. Look at this 5 of Wands. Radioactive symbol there. Sun and Capricorn for that card. I think this deck would be wonderful to use when doing the deck-ins, because when I was doing my deck-in readings for this year, I didn't have, I was working with decks that didn't have that reference directly, so I was just infusing it into the readings, which I think may have made it difficult for some people to understand. But with this deck here, it'll be a lot easier to work with the deck-ins. The deck-ins being the different degrees within the month of each astrological sign. So these planets like 2, 3, 4 or these minor arcana cards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you break those up into threes. They all form different degrees of influence within each astrological month. Here we have Mars in Capricorn, so this would rule the month of Capricorn, 2, 3, and 4 of discs. And like the spiders, the wheel that we see here indicating hard work and dedication, restrictions as well. Three of Swords, a less gruesome depiction of the Three of Swords in a deck. And this is our Mercury in Cancer. Dolphins are porpoises, how we communicate, but more at an instinctual and emotional level. Three of Wands, beautiful. So this deck, I love the energy because it is so vibrant. I feel this energy helps direct us further in when it comes to working with this deck. This has some, I feel ethnic energy in this card with the coloring. It's hard to see, but it's not really orange. This is all pretty much, well, red and green. It looks like it's showing up more on the orange side. Two of Swords. So the coloring that you may be seeing here that the camera's showing is actually not as light as we see it. Let's see, if I go further back, you start seeing the true coloring of the cards. These are Two of Cups. And Venus in Cancer. Adorable. Okay, we're almost there. Two of Wands. We have the shape of the salamander here on the bottom. So some of these images that you're looking at, you see a kaleidoscope of energy that's representing the visuals in this deck. Reflection in, reflection out. We have our Ace of Cups. We're going down to our aces. Beautiful. What are we creating, nurturing, caring for? And the seahorses here for guidance, protection. Stork, dove, I should say. It looks more like a dove. And lastly, Ace of Wands. A very powerful deck. So there you have Asherah Tarot by Sarah Wheatley. Our Minor Arcana quartz, and then we have our no guidebook, but the guide cards for this. And again, I feel by just looking at these cards, there is basic information to work with each of these either numerically or through the suits or by going through the Qabalah. But I will say, if you are going to be working with this deck and you are serious about practicing with the tarot or with the Tree of Life and understanding the pathwork of the Tree of Life, be prepared to have a notebook, because I get like a nice fresh notebook that's going to be dedicated solely for your practice and understanding of the workings of the Tree of Life, because there is going to be a lot to pick up from. So I will be taking notes, definitely. Also, I made mention in my previous video with the Wild Unknown. I think it's best that when you're working with a deck, to actually work exclusively with that deck and just spend time with it. Get, as I just mentioned a second ago, get a notebook dedicated solely for that deck. If you are feeling a lot of information's being called to you for it, I think it's really important to spend that time and that energy and follow through with it. See what's calling you, what's bringing you specifically to a card or to a certain suit or to numbers. Are you finding that you're drawn more to certain numbers in a particular deck? This deck here is going to encompass all of that. It's going to encompass the numerical way of working with this deck, the suits themselves, the energy, the Qabalah of the steps for the Tree of Life. All of this is going to be intertwined for me. So this, I feel, is a wonderful deck to start someone who is ready to explore and take a basic starting point for understanding the workings of the Tree of Life. This by far no means that by this deck you're going to understand the Tree of Life. It is many, many, many years of practice and doing study work and comparing different systems and understanding how they incorporate with each other. So for me, I'm happy to start with this deck and also to bring in the Gill Tarot. So if anyone has the Asherah Tarot, let me know. Let me know if you've been working with it for a while, how it's been connecting with you. It's a beautiful deck, and I am so looking forward to going through each of these cards, probably spending almost, a day with a few of these cards and just being drawn into their environment and feeling every detail and smelling the environment that they're in and how I'm feeling about the shifts of energy in each card. Yeah, this is going to be a wonderful experience. Alrighty, so there you have it, the Asherah Tarot. This is the 3rd edition, the poker size, the pint size deck by Sarah Wheatley. I will put all the links for her website and where you can order this deck. If you have any questions or if you are interested in maybe doing a study with me with this deck, or those who may be interested in exploring the Tree of Life and the Qabalah with me using a particular deck or this deck, let me know. Leave your comments below, and any questions, you know where to reach me. All right. Thank you for your patience for this, and I look forward to getting some feedback from you regarding the Asherah Tarot. Have a wonderful day, everyone.